I've tried recording this type of question a number of times because at the time I wasn't really sure what I was talking about. But let me ask it straight away. Do you think that one of the biggest problems that professional squash is facing is the inconsistent refereeing or the inconsistent application of the rules? Now, I find refereeing discussions very emotive. I get incredibly angry when decisions are made that nobody else seems to agree with, and everybody else watching is like, how did they make that decision? And I remember being at Wembley Conference Centre, where they played the finals on the glass court, and so often we and others would be shouting, "Wake up and smell the coffee, ref," because we just could not believe that the decisions were being made. Now, many times I've sat near the referees and have a totally different view about it. Now, I know that refereeing is very subjective. I do. And of course, the rules do their best to minimise that subjectivity. But the reality is that, there is subjective analysis. Was there enough room? Was there enough access given? Was it able to get the ball? And one of the things that really drives me crazy is that when the ball is touching the wall, so often the referee, or not so often, but sometimes the referee says no let. And the player says why? Because the ball was too good. And I just don't think that is good enough anymore. I mean, how often do you see players, professional players, miss-hitting shots when they're touching the wall? Not that often. Sorry, my light has just gone off. Not that often. And they don't do that because they're able to hit the ball when it's touching the wall. Yes, sometimes the ball is touching the wall and the players just don't hit it. But that's not very often. And to use that as an excuse or a reason that no let was given. And I also don't like the fact that referees don't allow any discussion. And we've talked about this before, and I'm sorry for rambling, but I don't think that authoritarian attitude of saying there's no discussion here is useful. I don't think that that's a way forward. It doesn't make you sound more in control. It just makes you sound like you're not sure about your decision, therefore you won't argue, you won't discuss it. Now, I know that the referee has to control the match, and if somebody's constantly arguing, then that is a different question. But if a player says, can you just explain to me why you wouldn't give that let so I can improve next time? If you feel that I didn't give enough access, I'll know next time. And I think that we need to allow for that. I think referees need to be able to justify their decision. And somebody recently wrote as an answer to one of my videos that the reason they felt that squash wasn't getting into the Olympics was because there were too many lets and there was just too many discussions about the rules. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's the reason. But I do think that we must constantly be working to make the rules as simple as possible, as clear as possible, so that there's less ambiguity. And I think that, if somebody were to come along and watch the professional squash match and they were to see how many lets, or they were to see people disagreeing about what the results would be, I don't think that that's a good thing. It does happen in other sports. I mean, you often see it in boxing when there's, like a split decision. People are just saying, we don't agree with that. But that's often to do with politics and money. When it comes to squash, when I see a bad decision, I don't think, somebody's paid the ref there. Or I don't think, he's only giving the answer because, he's from this country and the player's from another country. I don't think anything like that. I just think that this ref is either a bad ref or sees things in a different way that I do. And I think that would be a topic. So do you think the biggest problem facing professional squash at the moment, besides the pandemic and not being able to, play matches, the biggest problem promoting squash is the inconsistent refereeing? I don't know. What do you think? I'm sorry to ramble, by the way. On the screen at the moment, somewhere up here, is a playlist of all of the other questions for you to look at. And probably down here somewhere is another video that YouTube thinks is a really good fit for you. And probably down here is a subscription button. If and only if you think my content is useful, please consider subscribing. And remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. See ya.